from the BBC World Service in association with ABC and All India Radio. This is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell and I'm in the commentary box at Lord's, looking out over a sun-drenched ground at the moment. I've just seen the New Zealand captain Kane Williamson come out and have a good feel of the pitch right opposite his old teammate Brendan McCullum in England kit, who came out and had a good feel of the kit as well. So it is a new start, a New England coach, a New England captain in Ben Stokes. And I'm just back from commentating on the French Open tennis as well. So a little bit of a switch for me. But yeah, really excited to be here at Lord's. The international summer starts here in England.
You've warmed up, Ali. It's Jim Maxwell for the ABC in Sydney. Not much cricket going on down here other than they just released the program for next summer. And I think almost every team on the planet's visiting Australia at some point. Certainly South Africa's here for some tests with the West Indies, and there's a lot of white ball cricket as well. So let's all get ready to watch New Zealand play England. Looking forward to that.
Hello, I'm Charu Sharma for All India Radio in Rajkot in West Gujarat. It's very hot here right now, but these T20 state leagues, and I'm about to do the Saurashtra Premier League, are actually the birthplaces of all the hungry talent bursting through to the IPL. So I suppose the guys wouldn't mind the little bit of heat here. And of course, all of Gujarat is still celebrating their fabulous first ever season win the IPL.
Yes, Charu and Jim, great to have you along. And Charu, you say the IPL because we're actually going to start with the shorter form of the game, albeit here at Lord's. We'll come to the test match in a moment. But a fairy tale ending for Gujarat Titans in their first ever season in the IPL. And they led the way throughout. They finished top of the table, 20 points from 10 games in the league stage. And then they came up with the goods when it mattered most in the final, beating Rajasthan Royals in front of over 100,000 spectators at that stadium in Ahmedabad. And I'm joined by one of the standout performers from Gujarat Titans, a real star of the team, South Africa batter, now IPL winner, David Miller. Congratulations, David. Welcome to Stumped. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. All good, thank you.
Where do we find you at the moment post-IPL final? What does an IPL winner do?
Gave myself 30 hours in India with the team. We celebrated, did a couple things. And then I shot off to the Maldives. I'm here for 3 days.
Yeah, get some chill out time. Don't blame you at all. Now, tell us about Gujarat Titans. What do you put this success down to?
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible season. But I think, the environment was a relaxed environment, one of, just seemed like everyone could sort of have their say and feel a part of the unit, led by the management, which was great. And then on the field, I think there was key moments in T20 cricket that you always need. There was key moments that guys put up their hand throughout the season and did what we needed when most expected. So, yeah, I think there was 9 or 10 different man of the matches throughout the 16 games. Often you get players doing really well, certain players doing really well throughout. But this particular IPL, everyone contributed in somewhat way. And it was just a complete team effort, which is great to have.
Yeah, I know Jim will come in a moment, but just first, that Ahmedabad Stadium, I mentioned 100,000 seater. What was that experience like playing in front of that crowd?
Yeah, it was definitely the biggest crowd I've ever played under, in front of, and it was I suppose once in a lifetime experience. I hope it happens again in the sense that we play a final in Ahmedabad, but to play a final in front of 105,000 people, it is sort of, as you mentioned, a fairy tale finish. So it really was a great season. And then to have no support throughout the competition in the sense of spectators, and then having, everyone supporting us for the final being at home was quite a special thing. I actually got a little bit emotional. Not emotional, but it's like, I just took it in completely in the warm-ups, looking around in the crowd and just seeing, the mass of people that were there, and just sort of hit me that, we're in the IPL final and here we are. So it was a very special moment, something that I always cherish forever.
David, Jim Maxwell in Sydney, you certainly played a huge part in the Titans' success, an average of over 68, the best of anyone in this season's IPL, including 32 from 19 balls in the final. How do you feel about your form and, from an individual point of view, the way you expressed yourself?
Yeah, Jim, it was a very nice season. I just enjoyed throughout the season. I got given a complete run throughout, where I found myself in the last 4 to 5 years in the IPL, sort of in and out, not really getting too many games. So it was nice to get back from the word go and told up front that I'm going to be playing most of the games, in fact all of them. So it's nice with that assurity to just go out there and do what I know I can do. I have been feeling really good the last couple of years with my personal game. So it was just really nice to do it at the IPL, where, as I said, I haven't played too many games. So it was a special season, and I think being in the middle order, for what I really enjoyed is, I happened to be there for quite a few, 4 or 5 games, at the finishing the game off. And that's what I sort of strive to do, being in the middle order, seeing the guys home. And it was just everything sort of aligned and went really well.
But you've stated that you've changed your mentality, your approach, how to manage failure, and that's resulted in this great improvement. Tell us a bit more about that experience.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I've been around for some time now, and I think you would expect to get better as a player over the years if you're not wanting to learn and wanting to keep working hard. And I think, like I said, the last couple of years, I've really sort of found out what works for me and sort of my blueprint towards the shorter format, and really just trying to implement that in every single game. You're never guaranteed success, but I think if you are doing the right things more often than not, and understanding what works for you and what you need to do, you most probably will be more successful than not. So I think it's just about trying to sort of start afresh every game and stick to the process, and and really just work out the situation and scenarios, chasing or setting is pretty key. So just trying to sort of stick close to that.
Hi, David. This is Charu Sharma. I'm in Rajkot. If I can take you back to the auction, it's been very up and down for you in the IPL, and the value, if I may say so, was dwindling over the years. And then on day one, unsold, was the Miller household watching? What was your thoughts at that point of time?
I actually wasn't, Joe. I was playing in a T20 competition in South Africa, local T20, and we were playing a double header that game. And I think I was like 12th or 13th on the list, on the IPL list, and I'd sort of I think I missed it by about 20 minutes, half an hour, because obviously we had to hand on our phones, so I only sort of got the news 4 hours later that I wasn't selected, and I scored a nice 50 that game as well, so it was quite nice. But then to hear the news that I wasn't in the IPL, I was pretty gutted, but fortunately got picked up the next day, so I wasn't watching.
David, settle this for us. There's a lot of talk about how a first-time franchise has gone on to win. So from your perspective, since you've been around the block a bit in terms of number of franchises, does it really make a difference? Because there's a school out there that says, well, these guys are professionals. It doesn't matter who they play for, but does it really make a difference at all which team you're playing for in terms of management or ownership?
Yeah, I definitely do think so. There's certain teams that do really well for a reason. I think it's about managing players in the right way, getting the best out of the players, and finding out what works as a team, and finding out, you can't necessarily compete against other teams by what they do with their strengths. You've got to play your strengths as a team, work out what the strengths are, and sort of go down that path and let the game unfold as it goes. But definitely management, leadership, all of that kind of stuff really does make a huge play in a successful season.
Well, we can't leave out Mr. Leader himself. Talking about leadership, Hardik Pandya. Now, he was elevated to a captain, come out of the shadows of Rohit Sharma. So how was your relationship with him? How was he with the rest of the team? And do you think he's the right man to perhaps lead India in the times to come?
Yeah, I really enjoyed getting to know Hardik. I knew him from before, just playing against him in the various different games and tournaments. But it was great to get to know him. I mean, he's a big, large kind of character. He's a match winner, and it was just nice to get to know him on a personal level, where I actually found out he's an incredibly humble, down-to-earth kind of guy. Very caring towards the whole unit, and I think challenged a lot of guys in different ways, but more so just brought everyone together in a very unique way. And I think he's got, I know he's got incredible leadership skills. He's got that presence, that aura that one would need. So it was great to play under him and just get to know him as a friend. And I really do wish him all the very best for, whatever comes his way with Indian cricket, and if it may be leadership, et cetera, et cetera.
David, you mentioned the T20 series you've got coming up internationally wise. You batted mostly at 5 for the Titans. You're usually at 6 for South Africa. Are you sort of gunning for a little bit of a rise up the order?
I must be honest, I would like to bat higher up. But saying that in the South African team, we've got a really solid 6 batters. And I really do feel like in the international cricket, whatever sort of role I get given, I'd like to overcome it in whatever way and best as I can.
And it has been a fairy tale for you personally, unsold in the auction and now being an IPL winner. What goals are you now setting for the remainder of this year alone?
It's quite a difficult question because I generally like to try and keep things pretty simple. I don't like to overthink too many things. So genuinely for now, I just want to really do well for South Africa and have an extremely competitive series there as a team in India. And I'm going to England for 6 weeks in July and August, then going to the Caribbean in September, and then the World Cup at the end of the year. So there's quite a lot of cricket coming up. So I think it's just trying to not necessarily look too far ahead, just trying to keep things pretty close and keep ticking off the boxes as I go along. But it would be great to lift another trophy, and that would be the World Cup at the end of the year. So if you're talking about goals, that's definitely one to look forward to, and hoping that we can tick that box.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you in action over here in the English summer, that is for sure. David, congratulations on the IPL win. Enjoy what is left of your Maldives break. It sounds wonderful. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it.
That is David Miller, IPL champion with Gujarat Titans. From white ball to red ball, let's turn our attention to the Test series between England's men and New Zealand, who are the World Test champions, because the home of cricket here, Lords, as I'm looking out across the ground, they haven't managed to sell all tickets, which is unusual for the first few days of the first Lords Test of the summer. I went online this morning at 8 o'clock. Well, first of all, we were told that almost 20,000 were unsold over the first 4 days. As of 8 o'clock on day one, I counted 422 seats that were still available for purchase. Charu, if you were visiting Lords and wanted to go to the cricket when you're in London, how much do you reckon you'd be prepared to pay? And in particular, if you were bringing along an under-16 with you?
Yeah, I'd probably give Alison Mitchell a call and say, hey, you got a ticket for me. But, certainly not anything near £100. And especially not for youngsters. I mean, they should be at least at 50% of whatever the ticket prices are.
Well, ticket prices are between, for the public seats, this is £110 to £160. There are different ways of getting tickets if you do it through your county club. People were telling me that they would got a ticket for them and their son or daughter for maybe £70 or £80. But certainly in the days leading up to the game and this morning, the only public seats left are between £110 and £140. and juniors the same price as adults. Now, there is a section, a certain number of concession seats made available. MCC haven't been able to give me a figure of how many, but they have said that on day 4 of the match, they are making a further 2,000 concession tickets available to buy. Clearly, at the moment, there are no concession tickets left. The only prices you can get are these 100+ prices with adult and junior tickets costing you the same. So that's certainly putting off a lot of people, it seems. Jim, MCC are also sort of partly blaming the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebration. I'm wearing red today as it's the start of a long bank holiday weekend, but it's a double bank holiday. Maybe people around London in particular have taken the opportunity to get out of town. Do you think that is a reasonable excuse as to why Lords isn't selling out for the first test of the summer?
Well, from what you've been saying, it sounds like quite a few are going to be there. Is the Queen going to be there? Is she doing? I reckon.
Well, they wouldn't tell us in advance if she was.
That's right. Well, maybe that's the surprise part of it the next couple of days, because she normally shows up to welcome one of the visiting teams at Lords, but it sounds like it's going to be as they say in the classics, a bit of a ball terror with McCullum in charge and Stokes playing. We might see England actually chase a score on the final innings for a change, or do something remarkable. Maybe those old duffers with a new ball, Broad and Anderson, will rip through New Zealand and create a winning position for the home team. I think there's a lot to look forward to about this match, and I'm glad that I've got a seat in front of the television, because I wouldn't pay 160 quid to go.
Well, that is all we've got time for this week on All India Radio. So I will say thanks to Charu Sharma and Jim Maxwell, and of course to you all for listening. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter. We're at BBCWS Sports, and use the hashtag BBC Stumped. And check us out on YouTube as well. Go to the BBC World Service's YouTube channel. And make sure you join us again next week. Bye for now.
From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.